What's going on, y'all? I'm sick of putting research and effort into all of my videos, so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to just react to a Tim Pool video. Because, man, that's way easier. This seems just like, this is what I should be doing right here. Right here. Okay, so let's pull up my notes, which, by the way, that puts me like 20 steps ahead of Tim Pool in terms of how much effort I'm putting into my videos. So let's see if I, too, can get 200,000 subscribers just from reacting to nonsense. Okay, here we go.
Liberal elites kidnapping Trump supporters, or Republican types, transporting them to a hunting range where the liberal elites would then hunt them down. Now, there's definitely outrage popping up. Advertisements for the movie are being pulled because of what's just happened in the past few days. And I just want to stress, this may be the stupidest move by a company I've ever seen. This movie was...
Let's just take a second to appreciate the incendiary rhetoric that he's starting off with. So that's how he is leading into this video. The title of his video is, New Movie Shows Liberal Elites Kidnapping and Hunting Trump Supporters. Man, you're definitely trying to calm things down there, Tim. Keep that in mind as you watch the rest of this video. Oh my God.
Was greenlit at a time when we have escalating political tensions, violence in the streets, and shootings. And they want to make a movie where liberal elites kidnap deplorables. That's what they actually say in the beginning. Slaughtering a dozen deplorables. Wow! We'll read this, but I just want to stress. I want to make sure it's clear first. I believe the protagonist of the movie is a...
Oh my God. So, here's what Tim spends his time on. That was perfect. Suggested the 30 feral hogs memes about show how arrogant leftists are. That was perfect. Thank you, YouTube. I think YouTube is actually on my side. So...
red state Republican type who fights back. I don't care who's the good guy or the bad guy. Wow, talk about ignorance.
That kind of sounds like a big deal. And when you're talking about a movie, who is the protagonist, who is the antagonist, who are you supposed to identify with, who are you supposed to root for? That kind of matters there, Tim.
Poor timing, no sense of what's happening right now in politics to make a movie like this called Hunting at the Manor. You know what? Maybe this will be a great advertisement to replace it. But let me just stress, this is the kind of nightmarish stuff that's popping up due to ignorance that I think is going to make everything a lot worse.
I'm just going to let that one sit for a little bit. Okay, that's enough time. That's enough time.
Let's read the story. Ads pulled from gory universal thriller The Hunt in wake of mass shootings. Now, before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a PayPal option,
of course,
option, a physical address, and of course, the best thing you can do, share this video because I assure you, look, the past few days have been rough because of this news. I'm going to talk about it. I won't shy away from it, but YouTube punishes...
Look how brave Temple is for making this extremely low-effort video and putting it out there. This is the kind of information that YouTube is trying to censor, okay? This kind of video.
My channels to no end. Look, we are not allowed to talk about things like this on YouTube. They don't want us. They want family-friendly videos.
We're not allowed to talk about this stuff on YouTube, he says, on YouTube.
They would rather I make a video where I throw water balloons at people. That's what they want. They don't want this. But this is...
I would rather have water balloons than this. I think most people would. Like, Tim, that's not because your content is edgy and you're speaking truth to power.
Important. And YouTube is an effective medium for sharing information and talking about these things. I guarantee you this video will be deranked. I guarantee you it will be demonetized. And that's why I need your support. The most important thing you can do for any one of my videos, just share them wherever you can. Because that is how I overcome the deranking. YouTube is trying to make it so people can't see my videos. But if everyone decides...
How many videos do you think are on his channel about how liberals and leftists are just playing the victim card? This is... It's cliche at this point just to point out how much of a snowflake you have to be a conservative, where you are just seeking oppression wherever you can find it. That's supposed to be the thing that they're criticizing us for. But the issue is we can point to data, we can point to systemic problems in society that target specific groups, and their entire grift here is that YouTube doesn't want to monetize, not censor, it doesn't want to monetize every single video that they put out. And they'll completely ignore all of the demonetization that goes on almost every political channel, very much including leftist channels. So, okay.
Decided I will step up and make sure people do see it. It works. It really does. There were a few days where I didn't mention to share the video, and my viewership dropped like 30 or 40%, which says to me, I really do rely on all of you watching if you do like what I do to share. Let's read the news. In the wake of a trio.
Let's read the news. That's his entire thing. Let's read the news. This is what makes him popular. He reads the news, and then he tells you what to think about it. Wonderful. Thank goodness for you, Tim. So, did anyone see what our rat fucker in chief just did? At least the hunt's coming up. Nothing better than going out to the manor and slaughtering a dozen deplorables. That should give the game away. That should give the game away that this is not a serious movie. This is not a thriller that you're supposed to take seriously. That kind of hyperbole is supposed to give the game away. But as we'll see here in a second, Tim has no understanding of media whatsoever. He has no idea what satire is. He has no idea how to look critically at media beyond just the bare bones. They're coming after conservatives. Everything's going to get worse. That's the only thing he has, and it's the only lens through which he views things. There's some things that he's about to say that just make me weep with joy.
That's a line in the movie they thought was appropriate to come out right now, especially with everything happened. Pull the movie. Seriously, I mean, look, man, I'm not saying the movie should be pulled necessarily.
What the fuck? Look, pull the movie. I'm not saying the movie should be pulled necessarily. Oh my God! Edit that out. Edit that out. Okay? You see how I flubbed a bunch of lines because they would, like this one. I have flubbed a bunch of lines that make me sound stupid. And it takes 2 seconds to edit that out. People are gonna, it's a jump cut. It's a thing that YouTube does. It's fine. No one's gonna think that you're censoring yourself if they see jump cuts. Cut that out. I'm gonna cut some of this out because I am at a loss for words. I'm gonna come back to this here in a second when I have words to put to it. How do you contradict yourself in the same breath? Not the same video. It's a 10-minute video. You did it in the same breath.
I'm not saying that necessarily because I'm offended by it. I'm saying it because I think it's going to make people, it's going to escalate everything.
What do you think offended means? Tim, what do you think offended means?
You know what? Don't pull the movie. I have no idea. Let the movie happen. I feel like it's dominoes falling over. Everything we're seeing just can't be stopped. But I'll tell you
I feel like the last 15 seconds of this video perfectly encapsulates your entire career.
what, man, there are going to be people who see this. Crazy people who take it seriously. And they're going to panic and be like, the Hollywood elites are telling us what they think. Let's read on.
I wonder if he applies that exact logic to literally anything else. Maybe, I don't know, the most powerful man on the planet. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see.
In the aftermath of mass shootings within days of one another shocked and traumatized the nation, Universal is reevaluating its strategy for the certain-to-be controversial satire. They call it satire? Hold on, they call it satire? I've watched the trailer for this movie. It's not satire. There's no jokes. I didn't see anything funny.
Tim Pool thinks that satire means jokes. This is the level of understanding that gets him 100,000 views a video, if not more. 100%. Tim Pool picked up Animal Farm in middle school and was mad that it wasn't like the Looney Tunes. Do you think that Animal Farm is a rip-snorting good time? Like, is Animal Farm just filled with jokes?
Around and just murdering each other. I want to make this point.
That was a minute and a half. A minute and a half of him reading. That's content. He's literally reading the news, and he's getting the views. That was a minute and a half, 90 seconds of him just reading, not even particularly well. 100,000 views.
Even without what just happened, these 3 incidents, this movie is in poor taste.
All right.
And poor timing, and I feel like will only make things worse. But the fact that we just saw what, El Paso and Dayton and Gilroy was incorrectly labeled white nationalist, I guess, that's what the FBI is saying now. But we got the far left and far right extremists in less than...
Notice that he just said that the FBI is coming out and saying that they don't have a motive for the Garlic Festival shooting yet. And that's true. You know what? I'm fine. I am fine with not calling the Garlic Festival shooting. I'm fine with not calling that a white supremacist shooting. We don't know yet. That's fine. There's more proof of that being a white supremacist shooting than there is of the Dayton shooter being a far-left extremist. I am wondering why the Tim Pool types and the Annie No types are putting so much scrutiny on making sure that we don't incorrectly label the motive of the Garlic Festival shooter, but they are so quick to point to the Dayton shooter as a violent leftist extremist when there's zero evidence of time of this recording, zero evidence that there's any political motive behind that shooting whatsoever. They are 100% going off of what he had, his online presence. 100%. So if any leftist anywhere does anything bad, it's a far leftist extremist event. Meanwhile, the Garlic shooter explicitly puts up a white supremacist book for everyone to read and tells everybody to go read it right before he goes commits the shooting. But, you know, and I'm still fine with not calling that a white supremacist shooting. We still don't know a motive. More investigation. I'm 100% fine with that. But Jesus Christ, they need something so bad to counteract the explicit manifesto left by the El Paso shooter that they're just looking and, oh, wow, man, this guy shot up a bunch of people and he was a leftist online. That means it's a leftist shooting.
24 hours. That is proof that this is in poor taste and is poorly timed. They're only pulling the advertisements after the fact. But the fact that those events happen show us we are in no position to have a movie glorifying in any way the kidnapping and killing of people based on political ideology. But you know what?
Does Tim Pool know what glorify means? Is that what he thinks that is? Tim Pool has made at least a few videos defending video games. In fact, that's the only time he's going to ever attack Trump. When Trump attacks video games, that's the only time that he's ever going to express any sort of concern with Trump whatsoever, because he says that video games do not promote any violent ideology. Because in video games, we explicitly target people based on their political ideology all the time. Remember how people got really upset that Wolfenstein was targeting Nazis and their marketing campaign was all against, like, their marketing campaign was explicitly anti-Nazi, not anti-conservative, anti-Nazi, and people were upset with them because it was too political. We have video games all the time that actually glorify, based on the definition of the word, that celebrate the killings of people based on political ideology, but he knows for a fact he will make videos defending video games, and they're not the root cause of anything. They're not going to cause anybody to do anything. And this movie, though, is going to make things so much worse. And he's waffling on whether or not it should be pulled or not. He says it should be pulled, and in the same breath he said, no, it shouldn't be pulled. I don't know. Here's his entire shtick. He says, I don't know. What he is contributing nothing meaningful to this discussion.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people seeing this will actually make them, I don't know, not like the idea. I don't think so. I think people are going to see it, and they're going to think it's a message. There's going to be crazy people. Let's read.
I don't know. There's going to be crazy people. Thank you for your contributions to this. 200,000 views for this insightful commentary.
Given the fraught political climate, particularly in the wake of El Paso, which was motivated by anti-immigrant bigotry, studio sources say Universal is evaluating its plans in what one called a fluid situation. A high-level insider says top executives want to stand by Blum, one of the studio's most prolific and successful producers, as well as filmmaker Craig Zobel, and see the project as a satire addressing an issue of great societal importance. But this person says plans could change if people think we're being exploitative rather than opinionated. I watched 2 trailers for this. There was no jokes. Nothing was silly. I've watched Satire before. There's obvious jokes in the trailer.
Again, Tim Pool thinks that satire needs to be silly. Was Animal Farm silly?
The trailers are being presented as a serious thriller, as a horror action thriller of some type. There was no slapstick, there was no banana peels. It was literally like a woman grabbing a sawed-off and...
Is Tim Pool upset that Animal Farm didn't have banana peels? I legitimately want to know about this. Does Tim Pool think that satire needs silly jokes and banana peels and slapstick humor in order to be satire? This man doesn't understand anything about what he's talking about. And he gets 200,000 views because he frames all of his stories in a way that paints the left in a bad light. He wants to make sure that you don't think that the most powerful political party on the planet, they're not the problem with anything. It's the left. It's people on college campuses. It's people getting upset with memes. It's leftists being just a little bit too uppity. That's the problem in society. It's not the actual policies and the people in power. It's not that whatsoever.
Blowing people's faces off. So they're calling it satire, I think, now, because they're realizing they maybe made a bad movie.
Tim, no, that's not how satire works.
The Hunt made some executives at Universal skittish back in May 2018 when film chief Donald Langley acquired the script and fast-tracked it at a modest $18 million budget. It is unclear whether there were any other bidders on the property, the sale of which was brokered by CAA, but insiders at several studios told THR at the time that they did not pursue it because of the explosive premise. One executive says he didn't even read the script, noting the idea seemed crazy. This is not the first...
He's literally just keeping on reading, so...
time a studio has been faced with real-life events that rendered a film release more complicated. Following the 9/11 terrorist attacks, for example, Warner Brothers moved back the Arnold Schwarzenegger starrer Collateral Damage and abandoned a trailer that featured a bomb attack in the U.S. The 2017 Death Wish remake was delayed several months in response to a mass shooting in Vegas. And Oliver Stone's...
This is the most beautiful moment in this entire video. Look at where his mouse is. And Oliver Stone's 1994 satire, Natural Born Killers. Natural Born Killers was the furthest thing in the world from a comedy. There was no slapstick. You know what? I'm even going to go out on a bet. There wasn't a single banana peel in Natural Born Killers. It was an explicitly, incredibly violent movie. That was the satire. You actually had to look one level deeper than Tim Pool's smooth brain is capable in order to see what the commentary was in this movie. He's not capable of doing it. It says right here, his mouse is pointing at this moment to the thing that completely destroys his entire thesis for this video.
1994 satire Natural Born Killers was criticized for inspiring copycat killings.
He glosses over it. He doesn't notice it. He glosses completely over it.
Certainly, satire can be a dicey genre for studios to pull off. Just ask Sony, which became the target of a 2014 hack blamed on the North Koreans over the Seth Rogen comedy The Interview. It's actually funny because The Interview, my understanding, is kind of based off of what Vice did when Vice went to North Korea. And based on my understanding of what happened, they blamed it on North Koreans, but I don't believe that was the case. I could be wrong, but I don't think it was ever confirmed. The script for The Hunt features the Red State characters wearing trucker hats and cowboy shirts.
Tim had to take a moment there to do a complete tangent just so he could be a little bit more wrong about something else in this video.
With one bragging about owning several guns because it's his constitutional right. The Blue State characters, some equally adept with firearms, explained that they picked their targets because they expressed anti-choice positions or used the N-word on Twitter.
He doesn't get it.
War is war, says one character after shoving a stiletto heel through the eye of a denim-clad hillbilly.
He doesn't get it. Still. He's still clinging to his position that this is a serious thriller after reading the first paragraph. And this paragraph, he's still doing it. Oh my God.
In the trailer, there is a man who is confused and dazed and wakes up on a plane, and he walks up and says, "What's going on? Where am I?" And she jams her heel in his face and kills him. I don't know what the context is around that scene, except all I see is reckless killing of somebody who's considered to be an other.
Jeez, I want him so bad to watch Natural Born Killers. I would pay a disgusting amount of money just to get him doing a commentary track for Natural Born Killers.
People are starting to consider both sides, each other, to be pure evil. When the talking stops, violence begins.
When the talking stops, violence begins. Tim, you have multiple videos and multiple tweets where you're saying that a civil war is coming. Is that fostering dialogue between the two sides, telling them that civil war is coming? Everybody's just seeing the other side as bad. Meanwhile, your entire online presence is devoted to making the left look as bad as possible while running interference for any criticism of the right. The shirt says figs, says Tim Pool, as he tries to tell you that it's really, really bad how both sides are just seeing the other as evil. Man, that seems so genuine coming from you, Tim Pool.
I'm not saying the movie shouldn't happen. I honestly don't know. I have no idea if this should or shouldn't be a thing. All I do know is I expect this to make things worse. I expect this to make things way, way worse. But
he expects this movie to make things way, way worse. He expects this movie to make things way, way worse. Let's see. Are you applying this same level of scrutiny to the most powerful person on the planet? Let's see. Breaking. Okay. Let's see. Hiring illegal immigrants. Let's see. Good guys stop with your gun. Guilty white progressive. Socialists tend to be late privileged, lazy elites. Cool. Civil war is coming in some way. Some say, wow, very brave of you, Tim. Let's see. Twitter suspends McConnell campaign. Wow. Ocasio-Cortez outraged by a fake quote. Thank goodness you made a video on that. A 21-minute video on that. Man, I'm really glad that we know what to think about that now. He's mad that the 30-50 feral hogs meme shows arrogant leftists. Man, he made a video on that. Leftists are mad at Trump supporters. Cleaned up. Fantastic. Hey, finally, though, he did take the time to criticize President Trump for blaming video games. That's where he draws the line. Don't blame video games, President Trump. Now I want to go back to being mad at leftists for making mean memes. Awesome.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll just be a silly movie that people will laugh at. I kind of don't think that's the case. They say, employees in different departments were questioning the wisdom of making such a movie in these times, says one filmmaker with ties to Universal. In light of the horrific shootings, is this not the most craven, irresponsible, dangerous exploitation? I agree with that filmmaker. Yes, yes, yes. That point is countered by a Universal executive who says the movie is meant to show what a stupid, crazy world we live in, adding, it might even be more powerful now. I have to...
Tim, you should absolutely identify with that last sentence to a degree that makes you deeply uncomfortable.
disagree. I think this is irresponsible. It's going to inspire. It's going to put images in people's minds of what they think will happen, what they want to happen, what they think should or shouldn't happen. You're going to have people on the left looking at, look, this is made by people in Hollywood. Hollywood is perceived to be far left. You show a movie of liberal elites kidnapping Trump supporters, calling them deplorables and hunting them down.
They're the bad guys, Tim, in this movie.
And you're going to get crazy fringe right saying, this is their plan, this is what they want. Oh no, it's only going to make things worse. At the very
I agree. Right-wingers are very, very stupid, and they find inspiration in lots of things. Lots of things that espouse a rhetoric that inspires them to kill people. Tim.
At least it's going to be seen as an insult, as insensitive, and it's going to inflame tensions. But you know what? I'm conflicted, I guess. Should I say they shouldn't do a movie, or should the movie air and let sunlight be the best disinfectant? I'm not one to normally be outraged and demand something be banned or silenced, but you know what? In this case, I just feel like things are getting worse. So I guess from a principled standpoint, well, by all means, make the movie and air it, let people watch it. From a things are getting to a really scary point kind of mentality, I kind of wish they didn't do this. Anyway, I got one more story coming up for you in a few moments.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you for that insight. 180,000 views for that level of insight. I don't know. Cool. All right. Tim Pool added nothing of substance to this story. The only thing he vaguely did was stoke fears in his audience that things are going to get worse. Things are going to get worse, and it's this movie's fault. Things are going to get worse, and it's because liberals and leftists make mean memes that are just a little bit too mean to right-wingers, which has never happened before. Things are getting worse because Trump is blaming video games. That's why things are getting worse. Can't blame video games, Trump. Don't do that. I am grateful that I caught him on that face, though. It's a small victory, but this is the appropriate thing to end on. Oh, 500,000 subscribers. This is the kind of thing that 500,000 people subscribe to. You know what? This is way easier than doing research. I feel like that if I got better at speaking and I got better at thinking off the cuff, I can make videos like this. I think I would want to drown myself in a lake after 3 or 4 videos. I had to do very minimal fact checking, and as my standards get even lower, I don't even have to do any. I can just spout my opinions, do very, very minimal editing, practice a little bit more, and this is the exact type of content that's going to get way more views than any thoughtful research content ever could. I'm not there yet.